So let's look at the market value of these things. So now we are here, and this is the market value over here. Now, again, we have two different methods to be able to calculate the value of the unit that we are going to develop. One of them is that an average market value per unit, which is very similar to what we did over here if we went with average cost of construction per unit. So you can use that. So that 4-bedroom townhouses, they go for 1.1 million in this area. So that's what I'm going to allow for. So you can put in 1.1 million as a ballpark figure. So you might have another number. Let's say these ones are all smaller units. So these are 950. This one probably had a better location, but the other one would go for 850. And the really bad location ones will probably go for 750. And then you can put in those values over here and change them this way. The other method is that what the market value per net saleable area is going to be in that area. So that is the reason we separated this section from the total build area, because nobody gives you money to when an average sale per square meter or square feet is calculated based on the livable area. Where the livable area is. So that is the reason we have this section over here. Now, if that does not apply to you, it doesn't matter. You can still do your construction calculation based on these. However, you still need to come up with a square meter rate or a square feet rate for that total area. But this section is only looking at the total area that you put in this green box over here, which is your net saleable area. If you want to go with something else, I think the best option would be to just give it a value, get it appraised from a real estate agent, and allocate values that way. But for people who can allocate a square meter or a square feet rate for the net saleable area, they can simply come in here and say that, look, the going rate in this area for townhouses or apartments or whatever you are developing is about 9,586 at the moment. So select that, and then all you do is save and refresh again. So when you do save and refresh, it will basically do the calculation again and come up with your market value. So over here, it will give you an average rate of what the average selling price for your unit is based on the number of units that you've got. And over here, you will also get a total gross realization value for that. Now over here, you are getting the value based on the dollar per unit of measurement that you are using. So if you've got one sort of rate flat that you want to go with, you can go with that, and it gives you the gross realization based on that value. So when you are trying to do this, I try and do both the methods. Once I've done both the methods, I get an average price here, I get a total GRV here, and total GRV for this method, which is market value per unit. And that then helps me decide the method that is more realistic or more close to where the market is at. Okay, there's one important thing that I have to highlight here. One of those things is that if I make changes over here, so let's say you come back and you decide, okay, instead of 8,000, we had 9,000 something, and now I want 8,500, and this one should be 7,500, and this one is 6,500, and so on, or whatever. And this one is, I don't know, 875 or whatever. So when I press the save and refresh button over here, you'll see that the calculation is going to happen up until this row 26. So once this gets updated, these totals did not get updated here. And the reason is that I chose speed over ease of use. So anytime you're doing that, make sure that you press save and refresh. And even if you didn't or you forgot about it, you don't have to worry about it, so long as you move to the next section by pressing save and next, because that triggers all the calculations to recalculate and do that. The reason, one of the main reasons was that I wanted speed, was because the sheer amount of calculations that we have in here, every time we were doing it, it used to time out. And if it was me, I would have had this whole code perform like a spreadsheet, but it cannot, especially because the amount of calculations that are involved in there. So so a little bit of a compromise there, but it does all the calculations perfectly. Like, it does absolutely perfect. So our next section here is about agents commission and different error checks, and I'll show you what these error checks are. These error checks are there because we haven't really added any data over here. So I'll get into that in the next section, which is all about agents commission and the sales commission and signing and all those things.